Our relationship with food says so much about how we feel about ourselves, how we treat our bodies, what kinds of foods we eat, the quantities we eat, how we treat our physical body says so much about how we feel inside. It says a lot about our emotional climate. It says a lot about our relationship with ourself, our level of self-love. So in today's video, I'm going to be getting into a lot about food, body image, exercise, and how we treat and take care of the physical body, and what are the attitudes that we have around it. I put the word fear in the title because I'm also going to be talking about that, and that's going to be a big point that I'm going to be getting into. So if you saw that and you were wondering, what does that have to do with anything? It actually has a lot to do with it. So the first thing I want to address, and this may meander quite a bit, is that if we came from a background where there was abuse, if we grew up and we learned to be codependent, sometimes what is also alongside that codependent behavior are food and body image issues. So we may have grown up in this environment that was extremely volatile, highly unpredictable, explosive at any time, and you never know when. So you may find that what you do is you exercise controlling behaviors around food. Maybe it's towards overeating, maybe it's towards undereating and restricting calories. But in either case, it has to do with controlling something that you have control over, whereas your environment is full of all these variables that are wildly erratic and very unpredictable and often traumatizing. So what we learn is that food is something I can control, even if within that behavior you are out of control. But it is still something that you are governing, that you are in charge of and managing. So in this case, we are using control to feel a sense of security when everything else in our world is not secure at all, that we can't trust. So I've talked about my journey in healing my food issues in a few of my older videos, and it used to be something that I struggled with a lot. I don't struggle with it anymore, and it took me a long time to get here. I'm not going to be going through that whole story again, but it is something that I know and relate to if you are going through that as well, that I absolutely understand. I know for myself, I used food and I would swing back and forth. I would go to one end of the spectrum and then to the other, whether it was overeating or restricting and then doing tons and tons of exercise. And like I said, it took me a long time to get to a place of being healthy. It took me a long time to have a healthy relationship with food and with my body. And I'm now at a place where it's not an issue for me at all. I have found a very good balance and have a really healthy relationship with my food, or with food and with my body. But along my journey there, if I look back, I didn't know it at the time, but I was so often in fear. I was so afraid that my body would be out of control and that I wouldn't be able to control it. Like that I would gain weight and I wouldn't be able to stop. Or that, so I needed to do crazy amounts of working out in order to control that. And then I would feel secure. So then if I couldn't work out for whatever reason, the anxiety would go way up. Some of you might be able to relate to what I'm talking about. Another thing is that sometimes we learn that we need to follow certain diets or certain protocols because we are afraid of getting some illness, or we are afraid of something happening to us, so we need to follow a particular diet, like a paleo diet or keto diet or the anti-cancer diet, or maybe because we're afraid of those things happening to us, so we set out and we do that. Now, over the years, I have tried many, many different ways of eating, and I really eat whatever I want. I've learned to listen to my body and to eat intuitively and to listen to what my body needs in any given day and the changes day to day. And if you're following a certain diet and you're liking it and it's working for you and it's making you feel good, then great. I'm not here to tell anyone what to eat or not to eat. What I do want to talk about is to look at our motivations. Let's look at our motivations for why we are eating the way we're eating. If we are motivated by fear, if fear is motivating us, then that's taking us in the opposite direction. So if we're eating a certain diet to the anti-cancer diet, or if we are eating, a certain diet because we are afraid of a certain disease or something happening to us, then we are coming towards our bodies with this attitude of fear. We are surrounding ourselves and staying in this energy of fear. Or if we are afraid that we are going to gain weight, so we work out, way too much, or we restrict calories, or kind of get into this vicious cycle of going from one end of the spectrum to the other. What we're doing is we're approaching our bodies with distrust, with fear, and we're saying, I don't trust you, body, to find an equilibrium. I don't trust you to be able to take care of yourself. I don't trust you to stay healthy. I need to take control, and I need to do it, and I got to figure this out. And I'm laughing because I could relate to that attitude so much. That's our ego talking. That's the ego saying, I have to do this. I am in charge. I got to make a plan. I have to figure this out. I have to do this. It's you saying, I don't trust myself. I don't trust my body's wisdom. I don't trust the universe. I don't trust God or creator, however you describe it. I don't trust that I'm okay. I have to take control. So this fear and control thing comes up again. Fear and control. There was a time when I was going through my healing work with food that I stopped weighing myself. I used to be this is like over a decade ago. I used to be so neurotic about weighing myself. And then there came a point that I stopped. And when I stopped doing that, it was like Pandora's box got opened. All of the fears, all of the emotions that I was holding under the surface by doing that behavior and others just came exploding out. So my question is, if you have controlling behavior around food, and if you were to, let's say you tend to binge eat, if you were to not binge eat when you feel the impulse to do that, what feelings would come up? And you may not know, and oftentimes we don't know, because we're not conscious that those motivations are buried, deeply buried, because they're painful and we don't want to feel them. But ponder that and kind of let that marinate. And see if over the next several days or week or two or three, that an awareness comes up. What are you running from that you need to be running towards? And that is a big, big part of your answer and a big step in your healing. What do you need to be running towards instead of running to the food, instead of running to a controlling behavior? Because there's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of something that needs your nurturing, that needs your attention. And it may be a few things, but one of them that I mentioned is I have found, like I said in my own experience, that we are so afraid to trust our bodies. Our bodies have so much wisdom. And over the years, I have become really good at listening to my body and learning how it speaks to me. And that's something that each of us can develop. We can learn to listen to what our body is feeling. So, for example, you could start by saying, I'm going to pay attention to, how do I feel after I eat certain foods? How do I how do I feel after I eat certain types of foods during different times of day, quantities. Notice which foods make you feel good, which ones make you feel sluggish and tired. Notice, what do you feel drawn to? What foods do you find that you crave? So that's information that we can listen to. I have found for myself, I will start to, sometimes clairvoyantly, I will get a picture in my head of something that I need. It might be a certain food, it could be a certain supplement. That sometimes the answers come to me in forms of pictures. So you may find for yourself, maybe it's that. Maybe it's the thought, it's recurring thoughts of something that your body is needing. So at any given time, putting the food aside for a moment, pay attention to the cues your body is giving you. Are you feeling maybe a little bit tired and fatigued? You don't have your normal high energy that you would have in the morning, but the thought in your head is, well, I have to work out because if I don't, I'm going to feel bad about myself in some way, or I'm going to feel anxious, or whatever those reasons are. Pay attention to what are the feelings that come up. If, are you listening to those cues that your body is saying, I'm tired, I need rest? Or what is your body telling you it needs? And if we don't know right away, that's okay. Sometimes it can be hard to figure it out. We can just sit still for a moment and just ask ourselves. You can talk to your body like you would to another person. You can say, body, what do you need right now? What do you need from me so I can take the best possible care of you? Instead of, let's say if you have a headache, instead of running and grabbing some Advil or ibuprofen, you can ask yourself, what do I need? Why is this headache presenting itself? What is this telling me? Do you need to decrease your stress? Are you holding your shoulders up too high? What is going on? So you can listen and talk to your body. If you're having an issue with a certain area of your body or with a certain organ, you can ask yourself, you can talk to that organ and you can say, what is wrong? What do you need right now? It may sound funny, but it's a very helpful tool that we can use to start to tap into our body's wisdom, to start to pay attention to that intuition that we have within us. I have found on my own journey that as I've gotten older, I have changed my motivations for how I eat, how I exercise, to instead of being one of being driven so much by ego, instead of being driven by numbers, if you're one to keep stats, like for your running or your bike riding or things like that, I have learned to approach things from a place of, is this something I enjoy? Am I enjoying this? And that becomes my driving force. So if I'm going to go out and do a bike ride, I do it not to the point where I totally kill myself. I am wiped out for the next day or two and I'm in a terrible mood because I'm so depleted. But I do it because I do it for the length that keeps me in balance. I do the intensity that is right for me in that moment. I do it because I enjoy it and I still have energy to do whatever else I need to do in the day, as opposed to being driven by fear, compulsion, anxiety, ego, needing to prove to myself or prove to others or get a higher number or a higher cadence or more miles or whatever it is. That being said, sometimes what the ego will do is when you start to change that, the ego will say, you're losing your edge, you're getting soft, you're declining, you're not pushing yourself, you're being a baby, you're being a wimp. And that's not true. That's the ego saying, I'm not in control, I'm not in charge anymore, and I want to be. Well, instead of reacting out of ego, out of fear, what we're doing is we are listening to what our body needs and honoring it and respecting it and taking good care of it and trusting it. We are treating the body with love, and this is part of how you can love yourself, by saying, oh, no, I don't need to prove, anything to anyone. I still like to challenge myself. I'm still going to push myself, but I'm not going to do it to such a degree that takes me out of balance. And so we may find, through our exercise and through how we eat, that we can find a place of equanimity, find a place in the middle. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And if we came from a background with abuse or codependency, we learned all or nothing thinking. I'm all good or I'm all bad. I have to go all out or I suck and I'm not doing enough. That you can have different shades in between, and that it's good to allow yourself to be in that present moment. The last thing I just want to touch upon is to not use food and exercise to punish ourselves. And I know I've kind of meandered on a few different topics in this video, but oftentimes we have used food and exercise as a way to punish ourselves, either by restriction or by overdoing it when we feel like things are so out of control and they're so bad and you just want to say, screw it, I can't do it, it's too hard. And so we want to hurt ourselves. We want to take out that pain on ourselves. Again, this is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. We take out that pain on the body. Your body is for you. And I know sometimes if you're going through some health issues, it can seem like it's against you. Your body is always for you. Your body is this vessel that we have to live in during our lives, and it's up to us to have the best relationship we can have with our bodies, to love our bodies and to take care of ourselves in the best way possible, and to deal with the challenges that they present. And we all have our areas, and to accept ourselves and to love ourselves as best as we can. So just to sum up, as you go through this healing process, remember to follow enjoyment, to follow what brings you joy, to treat your body with love. What would make you happy? What would make you feel good? What would give your body the best possible fuel to be at its optimal level? And no one's perfect at that all the time. Of course not. But those are just some things to think about instead of letting fear and ego and wanting to control, which is coming from fear, instead of letting that be your driving motivators. So that's just a little bit about that. I could go on and on. We're about at 18 minutes at the moment, so I will wrap up here. Thank you so much for watching and for being with me once again. Take good care of yourselves. Know that you have a wonderful, beautiful body, and to take really good care of it. All right? Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video.